Totally dependable, plumbing and electrical. 0800 get Laser.
Celebrating 25 years of Laser, I'm Kyle, the GM of Laser Group, and this is Laser Across the Network, where legacy meets leadership.
We in our business have, 20 vans on the road. The Laser network has 600, 700, 800 vans on the road. I think that scale and growth itself builds trust.
Hey, Callum Massie, Laser Plumbing Grey Lynn. Thank you. You're here to talk about your investment journey to here, and I think you've got some stories to share with people as someone who doesn't have a trades background, but who's come in, identified a business that you think is worthwhile buying, what you're looking for, how you measure value, the intangible things that can't be measured particularly easily, and then probably what you've learned across that journey as well in terms of your own growth. But before we get into that, Callum Massie, Laser Plumbing Grey Lynn, who are you and how do you introduce yourself?
I'm a plumbing business owner with a very different background to most. I actually spent the first 10 years of my career working in the corporate world, growing, developing and leading sales teams, recruitment teams. Had a bit of an inkling that my career, I guess, wanted to head down a slightly different route, and I wanted something to build myself. A few different decisions later, and I found myself running a plumbing company of all things and sort of learning the plumbing, gas, drainage and roofing industries and use that as a base of growing a business.
Of all things, a plumbing business of all things. So for me, that immediately says it wasn't a plumbing business you were looking for, right? So how did you land there and what drew you to it?
Yeah, 100%. I never once said, look, I want to go down that path. I was in a pretty fortunate situation. I wanted to buy a business, was lucky enough not to have to kiss a number of frogs to get there, and it was actually the first business I looked into. I think I always wanted to focus on something that wasn't going to get majorly disrupted by technology. I'm pretty confident plumbing is sort of,
Can't digitize
taken
water,
over.
right?
Yeah, I mean, one day a robot might be able to do certain things, but there's definitely a lot we do that is probably impossible to do without humans. So for me, that was important.
And you said couldn't easily get disrupted, and I thought you were going to give us the COVID story because that was about when you bought this business, right? But even before that, the thing you said was you were lucky you didn't need to kiss a lot of frogs. This was the first business you looked at. How did you still test what was a good fit?
There were probably three main things about this business that sort of appealed to me and acted as sort of risk mitigators. So firstly, the track record of success. The business I bought, Osborne's, was started in 1919. So it's 106 years old. We also had a really experienced team and also a management structure. So as a new business owner, for me, that gave me a lot of confidence that I didn't have to do everything myself. I wasn't there to solve everyone's problems and do all the work. Kind of had to trust the existing team to do what they were employed to do and trust that they could do it well. So it gave me kind of the luxury to get in where I could add value and sort of understand people's strengths and weaknesses. And then also the brand. You want to make sure the brand's going to also do you a number of favours and it's not going to work against you. Really lucky with the Laser brand. It's got a lot of trust and credibility, but I already understood just from being a consumer. In hindsight, I probably underestimated how important that really was. The biggest things, that customer base, the management team, or the team in general, and the brand was really important for me to kind of push through and be confident in moving forward.
When I say ability to knock on more doors, do you see yourself as having more credibility, having Laser on your chest than you might if it was Osborne's?
100%. Yeah, it's pretty hard to compete. We in our business have 20 vans on the road. The Laser network has 600, 700, 800 vans on the road. I think that scale and growth itself builds trust. It's pretty hard to have a business or a network of that size if you're not doing a number of things well. Laser opens more doors. It comes across as a really professional network, and it's just a known entity. Immediately gives us a level of trust that's pretty hard to compete with.
Yeah, and I think about yourself coming in and that you've skipped go in some regards, going from an owner-operator to an investor-owner. What other places do you see the skills that you bring that's benefited your business?
In some instances, the fact I don't know the technical side means that I actually naturally have to empower our team, and it creates a lot more autonomy. And you find a lot of people want autonomy in their role. It helps them kind of potentially maybe adapt the role to how they want to do things. In some instances, I've had conversations with some of the senior guys in our team, and they sort of say, look, as much as you might not be there kind of guiding us and teaching us new things every day, the fact that you're not breathing over our shoulder and telling us how to do our job means we can actually do it to a higher standard.
There's a couple of things you've said, which is maybe the first real opportunity for a nugget for someone. You said you can't solve the technical problems, right? And I think it's really easy for someone with those skills and who can hold a plunger, where they've got a customer who needs something, they go out and fix it themselves at the expense of maybe some invoicing, some sales, some quote follow-up, those sorts of things. And so what would you say to someone who maybe feels stuck on that mouse wheel in that regard? What could they do to do that?
First off, I know it's really, really hard. It's much easier said than done. And I hear it a lot from people who have developed from being on the tools to being in management, that, you know, the second somebody calls in sick, or you've got a customer yelling down the phone because the project's not progressing fast enough, they jump in their van or in their ute, go down to site and just get stuck in, because that's what they know, that's the quickest way of solving a problem. But like you said, you're jeopardizing a lot in your business. There's a framework sort of working on your business, not in your business, to get ahead. It's a very, very challenging framework to follow. I hear some people talking about the fact they actually leave their tools at home, but it's probably about setting some really clear boundaries and expectations to themselves and to their team. It comes down to probably having some goals and expectations of yourself. If you get on the tools every single time someone's off sick or a project's behind, you're never going to be doing those quotes. You're never going to be sort of working to a higher level with those customers to try and win the next 6 and 12 months worth of work.
The other thing, which was selling, for want of a better term, or talking to customers and attracting them to your business. How are you doing that?
We do it from a lot of different angles. I mean, we're trying to appeal to a large range of customers, which means we've got different sort of strategies to try and keep that funnel full. So we probably have 70% of our work coming from a more of a corporate background. So that's your property and facilities managers, large corporate landlords, builders. And that funnel gets filled up by a mix of existing customer relationships and contracts, as well as jumping on the phone, jumping on emails and actually meeting businesses and trying to demonstrate the value we can add to them. So that's where I come into play. The other 30% is more your homeowners, and that's more of a marketing play, a marketing agency we work with really closely to make sure we're getting ourselves set up for success, working on everything from sort of websites to SEO to social media, and working out what's working, what's not being afraid to sort of change up our tact if we're seeing slightly different results come in.
Now, you talk about that marketing agency, you're talking about Mighty, for whom is a very close partner to Laser. From your perspective, how's the Laser brand helped you and that marketing agency fill up that funnel for that 30% of homeowners in the marketing play?
Yeah, it's been instrumental in our growth. First off, it's really good, the fact we have such a close relationship between Mighty and the whole Laser group. Their knowledge base isn't just from working with us. Their knowledge base is sort of picking up wins and losses across accounts all up and down the country. I think that's been really beneficial. You know, you're not just relying on, did this go well for us? It's actually, we did a campaign down in Wellington and we did X, Y, and Z. This worked really well. I think it could have a really similar impact with your business up in Auckland. It's also been great having somebody who's an expert in the trades. Means there's a lot of intel they have over many, many years that helps us work out how to communicate to our customers.
And I introduced that question, Callum. This is about an investor owner. It can really only be an investor owner if they're making money and they're not, battling away to make ends meet. How do you measure your success?
It's about looking at trends. So I keep quite a close eye on our P&L. What does each line item actually add in terms of our operation? Does it need to be spent? Is it actually adding value and is it necessary? So we kind of go through this on probably a quarterly basis just to work out, is there anything that we're spending that we don't need to? And I think that becomes even more important in the challenging times, which we're probably in the midst of at the moment. I think you've got to make sure that your business is set up so that just doing the basics well, if your team is busy, you're getting a good return on it. So in our business, fundamentally, we are set up well. So for me, the most important part is we have to keep the team busy. We don't want downtime. We want to make sure we've got as much work coming through the door as possible so that our productivity with our team is as high as it possibly can be.
So from how you've answered that, Callum, and it was a great answer, you would actually go fundamentals, funnels, diversification. So fundamentals means that you're doing what you do well, And then funnel means that you're putting as much work through that business process as you can. And then on top of that, you can go, what else can we do with this now that it's running efficiently and it's full?
Yeah, and just looking to fine tune. You can talk about changing, a few of those things, but at the end of the day, some of it's hard to tweak, let alone make huge changes in. And I think making huge changes in the middle of a challenging construction economy or environment or even recessions is a really hard thing to do. You want to get it set up so that your fundamentals are there so that you're not having to make huge change just to keep the revenue coming through the door or to keep the lights on.
Now, earlier you used the collective noun we. I think you're referring to that group of professional advisors you're meeting with quarterly, being your accountant, your lawyer, maybe some family. When you look at that team that you've built around you, how are you using them to qualify your decisions and work out the next thing to do?
It's about using people around you who have been through similar situations before and just getting their thoughts and ideas and opinions. Whether you take them or not, I think it just means that whatever decision you do make is more well-rounded. So it's maybe a phone call, an email, hey, can I just double check this is the situation I've come across? This is what I was going to do. Can I double check, would you go through things the same way? Do you have any other ideas? Do you have any opinions on what I should do differently? And I think just not being afraid to sort of ask for help, knowing that I've got an opportunity to bounce ideas off people, because otherwise it can be pretty lonely. You've got to potentially make a call on something that maybe you haven't necessarily had the time and experience to understand in full.
Are you turning over stones? And I'm thinking now about the business that you've since bought again. Are you using that DD to turn over stones to see and uncover opportunities for growth in that business? Or are you looking to almost negotiate down and say, this isn't any good, and then applying your experience to improve them?
No, definitely the first point you mentioned, it's about understanding opportunities. The mix of understanding opportunities and understanding risk. Obviously, if you're going through DD, in a business acquisition, the really fortunate thing is it's almost the opposite of most purchasing scenarios where you almost have to put an offer on the table, get on the same page with an owner with pretty limited information, and then you have, say, 4 to 6 weeks to go through due diligence. And yeah, for me, it's not about trying to work out opportunities to knock it down. It's probably working out, hey, black and white, do we want to go ahead?
Yeah, and again, and if I think about what you said again at the start, which is, I bought a plumbing business of all things, and now you've bought another plumbing business. And was that because it's a natural fit to what you're doing, or are you still turning over those stones and looking at other businesses?
It's been really, really hard going out knocking on doors trying to sell. So the recent acquisition was more about bringing in work than it was anything else. So I found a business that had been around 20 years. The owner is a phenomenal plumber gas fitter. He is a phenomenal salesperson himself and has pretty much said yes to everyone for 20 years. So he has people knocking down his door to do their work for him, and has some really, really good customers. He probably had more work than he knew what to do with, and we probably didn't have quite enough work. Yeah, it's made me more excited to continue to look for other opportunities like that where there's a win-win.
Which is the question I wanted to ask is, how do you look towards building a investment machine, for want of a better term?
I'm really quite proud of this. Let's just call it the head office we have within our business, and the systems and processes we have allows us to quite easily bolt on businesses and take on a lot of that sort of admin whilst allowing others to sort of fit into the mold. So I see it as a really good opportunity to be able to sort of bolt more and more businesses on, and in turn acquire some really smart people. I'm passionate and excited about the opportunity to find more businesses that just fit in well with us.
There's a couple of things in that where you say you can layer this other business in, and you talk about your own head office or mothership. How have the Laser systems themselves supported you across those acquisition journeys?
From a Laser perspective, the sort of network that Laser has afforded me allows me to get a really good insight into what's important in a business and helped me understand what opportunities to sort of chase, whether that's customer or business acquisition. And you've got to sort of work out what is it that you do really well, what is it you're really good at, and sort of stick to your strengths. I've learned a lot from sort of performance groups and picking up the phone to other Laser members to sort of understand, look, what do they do in their business that works really well for them?
I think for the way that you've spoken in terms of the considered investment approach, the risk mitigation, the professional advisors you have around yourself, if you were to close or summarise now, Callum, if you're going to change that mindset from one of maybe do nothing to a growth mindset, or look outwardly at investment opportunities, what 2 or 3 things would you tell them to do?
In terms of advice I'd have for others, but the network within Laser has probably been one of the most instrumental things I have found of being part of the Laser group. You can talk about the systems, you can talk about the marketing, you can talk about the brand. They're all great, but I think the network probably is the thing that's unrivaled. Almost sort of instantly had an opportunity to gain insight from 100 odd business owners across plumbing and electrical, and in some instances quite quickly build up a relationship of being able to have a really frank conversation, because there's this instant trust and sort of camaraderie within the group. Whereas if I was trying to do that from scratch, it would take years and years and years and years to build up the relationship with some of the people I have. And those conversations sometimes can save me either tens of thousands of dollars or multiple months of maybe going down a path just from getting a bit of advice from someone. So find somewhere where you can have an instant network, as that in itself kind of helps you get ahead a lot quicker than you otherwise would.
It's a really good summary, Callum, and I just want to reinforce something which you've identified you're doing quite well. The team retention figure across the Laser network, including apprentices, is 49 months. And so if you think you're employing 20 people, that's 5 new staff you've got to find every year to maintain 20 people. Whereas if you're doing that for 6 or 8 years, you halve that number to 2.5. And so if you've got people coming back, you've got growth. You know, it happens a lot easier, and that recruitment cost is about half of a person's role. And so you've saved yourself some, I don't know, $70,000 every year through having good processes around your people. So I just want to say thank you for the contributions you've made today, and obviously the good things you're doing. And I know people listening will pick up on some of those things and take action, or where they might have been on the fence for a period of time, go, yes, now is the time to do it. So from us, thank you very much, Callum.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
If you've enjoyed the episode, subscribe, like and follow where you get all your podcasts. Give us a review and find us at lasergroup.co.nz. And here's to another 25 years.
0800 Get Laser.